Hello everybody, and welcome to what I'm hoping is my final cut of my video regarding the Kyle Rittenhouse incident. Uh, I've done a couple of versions of this you can see on my channel, but I feel this one is the most complete. It is my intention to try to provide as little editorial as possible in this video. I do have some conclusions that I came to on my own, but one of the things that I think led to me making this video was that I was kind of astonished by the amount of polarized rhetoric that was going around that just did not reflect the reality of what took place. There is currently a very toxic environment in discussing anything that goes on between groups like Antifa, the Patriot Prayer, the Proud Boys, etc. And I understand that those two groups are in conflict with one another, but something that should not be a partisan issue is the truth. And we can have different opinions about things, we can support different things, but the truth of something should be paramount. It should be important to any thinking individual. And if you can take a look at the art that I use for my show, I think you'll kind of get an impression as far as to what my specific political leanings are. That is, that I feel that the right-left paradigm itself has kind of become something that's just an excuse to not do your own thinking. But, I do have my own political leanings, and so to demonstrate that, this was my ballot from the 2020 primary. I voted for Bernie Sanders. I also voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. Before that, I worked for Senator Mike Gravel, who's a progressive senator who ran for president in 2008. And I have generally been a left-leaning independent my entire life. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is that another major assumption that continues to happen in the various complaints that I've gotten about the videos and conversations I've had about this topic is that people immediately assume that anybody who thinks that Kyle Rittenhouse was not a murderer must therefore also be right-wing. And that's just not the case. I went into this basically as an investigative journalist looking at the situation. I actually originally, my gut instinct was that he must be some kind of crazed active shooter. I came around to understanding that that was not the case, and it's because I did my own thinking and my own research, and I put that research together in the work that is this video. In the description for this video, I will be linking a blog that I will use to put more information down, provide sources, give you clips or anything that I might have missed. And if there's anything that needs to be updated, I'm totally willing to update anything that's in my video. I've already done it 4 times. And with that said, I want to get into the video itself. This first clip that we're going to see is Kyle Rittenhouse being interviewed. He's standing out in front of a business that was one of the businesses apparently the owner had requested that a group of individuals come out to guard these businesses. Now, there's something that needs to be pointed out so that you understand the backdrop of what's going on here, and that is that the cops had been moving the protesters kind of back and forth over a portion of the city, and there was a group of libertarians who are the armed people who get listed as right-wing later on, and just by various people's impression. But anyway, the libertarians were located both at a business that was boarded up after having been burned, and then another group of libertarians is seen at a gas station. So there were conflicts throughout the evening that you can see in other videos where the protesters are coming into direct conflict with the libertarians. And generally, what the conflicts are usually about is that at one point protesters are throwing bottles at the armored police vehicles, and the libertarians call them out for it, so then that enrages the protesters, and and then later on there's a argument over a dumpster fire, which I'll show you plenty of video of. The irony of the fact that they were arguing over a dumpster fire is not lost on me, but that gives you kind of an impression that generally the atmosphere in the air was that the protesters, or I would actually have to say the rioters in this instance, were the ones who were primarily arguing with the libertarians, resented the presence of an armed group that was challenging their ability to burn things and destroy things. All the conflict between these two groups, basically amounted to that, was please don't burn things, please don't break things. And there were people in this group that, were even willing to, if necessary, threaten violence to defend their right, quote-unquote right, to burn things. Again, not editorial. You can look at the videos yourself. If you have any trouble finding the videos of what took place before this, I'll be happy to help you with them. But that's what they were arguing about, whether you think they were right or wrong on either side.
Protecting from the citizens, and I just got pepper sprayed by a person in the crowd.
So you had non-lethal, but you didn't respond.
We don't have non-lethal.
So you guys are full on ready to defend the property.
Yes, we are. Now, if I can ask, can you guys step back? Medical, EMS right here. I'm an EMT.
Need a medic?
Medical, EMS right here. I'm an EMT.
Need a medic?
There's a medic right here if you need help.
What is it? She got shot in the foot. Shot in the shot? All right, we're going to go over here behind cover. I need cover, I need cover. Over here.
Do we have anybody who's injured? We have a medic.
I am an EMT. If you are injured, come to me.
Now, one of the major reasons that I included that clip first was to clarify something. One of the major things that I continually hear from people is that supposedly Kyle was just there to shoot people. That's the dialogue that keeps getting passed around, that he specifically showed up at this event to hurt people and that he had no other motive for being there. I'm going to tell you now, having spent the better part of, several not weeks, but days at this point, spending a long time going over various clips and watching the videos. And one of the very common themes, and I'll point it out throughout the course of this video, is that you're going to hear Kyle Rittenhouse frequently asking people if they need medical help. That was fairly obviously, at least from anybody I would say would come to the same conclusion if you're looking at this with an open mind, his motive. It seemed to be his primary, interest in being there at all. So I just wanted to clarify that because there's plenty of other video of him asking people for, if they need medical help. But now we're going to go down. See, that was actually the business that Kyle was originally stationed at, or basically operating out of. Further down the road, there's a gas station. And the gas station was the site of a lot of the arguments I was talking about between the libertarians and the rioters. And leading up to this instance was, right before this, there was arguments over throwing bottles at the cops. And so now we're going to go ahead and hit play here, and I'll point out key players in this story.
Police here.
Why you doing it? Why you doing it? Why you doing it?
Now look at all the hostility that just erupted between these two crowds, specifically because somebody was pushing a dumpster fire towards a gas station and another group of people put the fire out. This is Joseph Rosenbaum. We'll have more on him later. This right here is Rosenbaum, the first guy who Kyle shoots later.
Oh,